We are back. We are live unexpectedly on this Friday night, March the 25th, year of our Lord 2022. I'm Pugs Moran. Typically, we do 2 streams a day. We do the high noon stream. Sorry, a little bit. I've been spinning plates here. Got a whole lot of stuff going on. We do the noon stream, which is topics, current events. And then we do a nighttime stream at 9 o'clock every Monday through Thursday. We call that the Pillow Talk stream. And that's just silly and ridiculous. And from time to time, when breaking news occurs, we like to come on and do a live stream to talk about big things that are happening. Well, tonight we've got some very big news. Taylor Hawkins of the Foo Fighters, beloved longtime member of the Foo Fighters, has passed away. There's very little. There's a lot of suggestive stuff out there. There's a lot of rumors that I've been seeing in the past. I don't know, about 40 minutes since this story first came across my plate. My buddy, fellow rocker, Rob Barr, was cool enough to hit me up as soon as this came across his plate. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit, we're going to get into some details here. We're going to try and figure out exactly, this is going to be one of those live streams. This is going to be one of those streams where we're going to find out all of this stuff together. We're going to, we're going to see it as it unfolds. I'm trying to find, there is not a whole lot of information. Here's what we know. We know that the Foo Fighters are down in Colombia. They're on a world tour. And apparently he did not show up for a pre-show event that he was supposed to show up for. We don't know who. Somebody was dispatched to the hotel room, and after he didn't answer his door, they got hotel security to come in, and they opened up Taylor Hawkins' hotel room door, and he was found unresponsive. And that's it. That's basically all we know. We know that the Foo Fighters themselves have issued a statement. Here, let's get that up for everybody to see. It's really just unbelievable. Just truly, truly unbelievable. I've told this story a lot of times, and I'm sure at some point tonight I will tell the story, but I had a very wonderful afternoon with Taylor Hawkins once a number of years ago, watching Chicago Bulls basketball backstage at the old Q101 radio station that I worked at. We did a summer kickoff concert that happened to coincide with Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan Bulls late 90s run, and the Foo Fighters were our headlining act, and because they enjoyed sports, we had a nice little viewing area set up for the Foo Fighters. Yeah, I found it. Here it is. So we'll just put this up. And we all watched a basketball game that Saturday afternoon in what I guess was May, maybe? I don't know. It was during the... I'm sorry. We're just trying to figure all this out as it goes along. Okay, so here we go. This is the statement from the Foo Fighters official site. The Foo Fighters family is devastated by the tragic and untimely loss of our beloved Taylor Hawkins. His musical spirit and infectious laughter will live on with all of us forever. Our hearts go out to his wife, children, and family, and we ask that their privacy be treated with the utmost respect in this unimaginably difficult time. 50 years old. Crazy young. I guess that's old in rock and roll years, but all right. So let's learn a little bit about Taylor Hawkins here before we delve into some of the speculations and all that stuff. You want to be respectful. You want to be respectful because this was a cool guy. You always want to be respectful in a moment like this, but this particularly is a rough one for people who love rock and roll, and especially people who love the Foo Fighters. And I love the Foo Fighters, as he seemed like a truly lovely man, just a big spirit, big heart, big smile. Wasn't one of these somber and sullen rock stars. He was just a guy who seemed to love every breath that he took of life. And these are the ones that are just extra sad. Oliver Taylor Hawkins, born on February 17th, 1972, and passed away sadly March 25th, 2022, was an American musician. This is from his Wikipedia page. We're going to learn a little bit about him. Best known as the drummer of the rock band Foo Fighters, before joining the band in 1997, he was the touring drummer for Sass Jordan and Alanis Morissette, as well as the drummer in the progressive experimental band Sylvia. In 2004, Hawkins formed his own side project, Taylor Hawkins and the Coattail Riders. I mean, that right there, just that name, Taylor Hawkins and the Coattail Riders, that just shows his personality. It just shows that he had a truly funny and carefree kind of way about him. As if the guys in his side project were just coattail riding off of his Foo Fighters success. And maybe from a different sort of character, that's the kind of thing that might be interpreted differently. But with a guy like Taylor Hawkins, you knew that was tongue-in-cheek, and that was, he himself probably felt that he was a bit of a coattail rider of Dave Grohl. Terrible thing. Hawkins formed his own side project, Taylor Hawkins and the Coattail Riders, in which he played drums and sang. He was voted Best Rock Drummer in 2005 by the United Kingdom drumming magazine Rhythm. Let's see. We're just going to go through this. And, bear with me, folks. This is, happening right now. And let's just talk about the guy. Let's just get into this a little. You know what? I'm going to have a little bit of, it's a Friday night. Kids asleep in the other room. Actually, I think he's watching Archer. We're going to have a little drink. We'll do a little toast to him. If you've got a little something to drink, raise it up. Oliver Taylor Hawkins was born in Fort Worth, Texas. I didn't know that. I didn't know. Here we are in Dallas, Fort Worth, right here. I had no idea that Taylor Hawkins was born in Fort Worth, Texas. Oliver Taylor Hawkins was born in Fort Worth, Texas on February 17th, 1972. His family moved to Laguna Beach, California in 1976, where he grew up. Yeah, he looked like a California boy. He had them golden flowing locks. And Hawkins had a brother, Jason, and a sister, Heather. He graduated from Laguna Beach High School in 1990. After leaving the Orange County-based band Sylvia, he joined up as the drummer for Sass Jordan. I remember that name. I remember Sass Jordan. Is that a he or a she? I don't want to be. Well, let me just find out here. Here we go. You're running down rabbit holes, aren't you, Pugs? Yes, I am. Schizophrenic me. Yeah, it's a her. Okay, just wanted to make sure it was a her. I didn't want to call her and then have Sass is a guy. Okay, all right. Well, Sass isn't a very common name. I just, I kind of remember Sass Jordan being a thing at some point. Okay, so from June of 1995 until March of 1997, Hawkins was Alanis Morissette's drummer on tour supporting Jagged Little Pill in her Can't Not tour, or the Can't Not tour. He appeared in the videos for You Ought to Know and All I Really Want and You Learn. He also appeared on Morissette's VHS DVD Jagged Little Pill Live. I knew that he was with Alanis Morissette. I don't remember him in the You Ought to Know video, but now I imagine, should I ever see the You Ought to Know video, I'll go, oh God, look, there he is. I guess at the time that I was probably paying attention to Alanis Morissette, 25 years ago now at this point, I probably didn't pay much attention to the drummer. It was Alanis Morissette, after all, who I was watching. But that's interesting. I mean, I knew that he had come from Alanis Morissette because I do know a little bit about his story and about how he and Dave Grohl became friends, but I never really can't remember that he was in that video. After touring through the spring of 1996, Foo Fighters entered a Seattle studio with producer Gil Norton to record its second album, Conflict. During recording, reportedly erupted between Dave Grohl and drummer William Goldsmith. It's a poorly written. Conflict during recording reportedly erupted between Dave Grohl and drummer William Goldsmith, eventually causing Goldsmith to leave the band. The band regrouped in Los Angeles and almost completely re-recorded the album with Grohl on drums. The album, The Color and the Shape, great album, was released on May 20th, 1997. Grohl called Hawkins, an acquaintance at the time, to seek recommendations for the band's new drummer. Grohl was under the impression that Hawkins would not leave Morissette's touring band, given that she was a bigger act than the Foo Fighters. To Grohl's surprise, however, Hawkins volunteered to join the band himself, explaining that he wanted to be a drummer in a rock band rather than for a solo act. The Foo Fighters announced Hawkins would be their new drummer on March the 18th, 1997. In addition to his drumming duties with the Fighters, Hawkins also provided vocals, guitars, and piano to various recordings. His lead vocals with the group was a cover of Pink Floyd's Have a Cigar and Under Pressure. When the Foo Fighters would rip into, Bowie and Queen's Under Pressure, it was Taylor Hawkins who would sing it. And as a matter of fact, we'll find that. We'll play that. We'll play a bunch of stuff. We'll play a whole shit ton of stuff that isn't going to get us monetized tonight because, I don't give a shit. We're going to do this guy a little bit of justice here. Let's see here. In addition to his drumming duties with the Foo Fighters, Hawkins also provided vocals, guitar, and piano to various recordings. His first lead vocals with the group was a cover of Pink Floyd's Have a Cigar. 2 versions of the song were released, one as a B-side, another on the Mission Impossible 2 soundtrack album. Hawkins later sang lead vocals on Cold Day in the Sun from In Your Honor, which was later released B-side to Learn to Fly. Which was later released as a single, as well as a cover of Cream's I Feel Fine, which appeared as the B-side of DOA and on the EP, 5 songs in a cover. Boy, all of this stuff, back from the days when we listened to CDs and there were singles with B-sides and all that. I don't know, everything's Spotify for me now. If I like a song or an album, I just rip through it on Spotify. I don't know from B-sides these days. Hawkins also sang lead vocals for the band's cover of Joe Walsh's Life of Illusion. That's right. I have seen him do that. Yeah. I've seen the Foo Fighters 3 times. They're one of my favorite bands. So that's the reason why I felt compelled to do this rare spur of the moment breaking news kind of situation here. And Foo Fighters are probably a lot of your favorite bands. One of the biggest bands in the world. Later, Hawkins sang lead vocals for Sunday Rain, a track on the Foo Fighters' 2017 album Concrete and Gold. Many Foo Fighters live shows featured Hawkins singing lead vocals on at least one cover song. He also contributed to the band's songwriting and was listed as a co-writer on every album since There Is Nothing Left to Lose. Some other projects. In 2006, Hawkins released a self-titled LP with his side project, Taylor Hawkins and the Coattail Riders. Just such a great name. He occasionally played with a Police cover band, alternatively called The Cops, and Fallout. At Live Earth 2007, Hawkins was part of SOS All-Stars with Roger Taylor of Queen and Chad Smith of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Hawkins recorded the drum tracks for the Coheed and Cambria album, Good Apollo, I'm Burning Star 4, Volume 2, No Words for Tomorrow. As the band's regular drummer, Chris Penny, was not able to record due to contractual reasons. Also, Taylor Hawkins toured with Coheed and Cambria shortly during the months of the album. Hawkins can also be heard drumming on Eric Avery's, formerly of Jane's Addiction's, first solo effort, Help Wanted, and Carrie Ellis's album Wicked in Rock. Hawkins and Grohl split drumming duties on Harmony and Dissonance, the latest album by Foo Fighters bandmate Chris Shiflett's own side project, Jackson United. Hawkins played on the track Cyborg from Queen guitarist Brian May's 1998 solo album. In other words, he also played drums at VH1's Rock Honors 2006 while Queen performed We Will Rock You. He sang backing vocals on the Queen and Paul Rodgers single Celebrity. Hawkins was commissioned to complete an unfinished recording of a song by Beach Boys drummer Dennis Wilson titled Holy Man by writing and singing new lyrics. The recording was released in June of 2008 as part of a deluxe edition of Wilson's lone 1977 solo album Pacific Ocean. While the Foo Fighters were on a break, Hawkins played in a three-piece cover band, Chevy Metal. That played lesser-known tracks by ZZ Top, Aerosmith, Deep Purple, Van Halen, Queen, and Black Sabbath. He was just a player, man. He was just a rocker. He was just a 50-year-old guy just living the life. Dude probably never had a job. I mean, he never had a workman's job. The guy just... It brings up that question I always ask. I mean, celebrate the man's life. Look, it's sad, it's shocking, and it's something now that we're all sort of processing as it's just occurred within the last hour or so that we've received the news that Taylor Hawkins of the Foo Fighters has passed away. But man, our boy went 50 years as Taylor Hawkins. That's not a terrible thing. We'd all love for him to have gotten 80, 90 years, but 50 good years with the life that it seems Taylor Hawkins has lived is, nothing to sneeze at. He's got we'll get to his family. That's where, that's where it starts to get kind of sad because he beautiful man. In March of 2014, Hawkins announced his new side project called The Birds of Satan. I'm going through all these pictures. I'm seeing all these things popping up on my thing. There's not a picture of him where he's just not loving life. There's just not a picture of this dude where he doesn't have a smile from ear to ear, where his eyes just aren't popping, where he just doesn't look like he is appreciating every freaking breath he's taken. In an interview with Radio X, Hawkins revealed that his initial idea with his solo projects was to duet with female singers. He has invited other stars to sing in Taylor Hawkins and the Coattail Riders album Get the Money, like Leanne Rimes on one of his songs titled See You in Hell. Loudwire named the album one of the 50 best rock efforts of 2019. Other musicians who have appeared in his projects include Roger Taylor, Brian May, Dave Grohl, Nancy Wilson, Joe Walsh, and many, many more. Hawkins has said that his drumming has been chiefly influenced by classic rock drummers. His main influences are Phil Collins of Genesis. Isn't that interesting? That's cool. When I think of the great drummers, you don't really think of Phil Collins being all that much of an influence, but I suppose he was. I mean, Genesis is a very important band. I just think that we all kind of think of the later career Phil Collins, where he's, out in front, like Dave Grohl. Let's see here. His main influences are Phil Collins of Genesis, Stuart Copeland of The Police, Budgie of Susie and the Banshees, wow, Roger Taylor of Queen, Stephen Perkins of Jane's Addiction, Ringo Starr, giving credit to Ringo, Jim Gordon of Derek and the Dominoes, and Neil Peart of Rush. He was once guest editor of Rhythm and interviewed Phil Collins, Copeland, Taylor, and Perkins for the issue. It was thanks to Rush, he says, that I got into Genesis. After listening to Neil, I bought the Seconds Out live album, which was released in 1977. It's just amazing. This is him speaking now. It's Taylor Hawkins speaking. It's just amazing, not only hearing Phil Collins playing the drums, but also singing. He gets a really bad rap from some people for daring to take over after Peter Gabriel quit, but you just hear the way he sounds here. The beauty of his album is that it's got songs from Trick of the Tail, the first album Genesis did without Gabriel. Collins is an incredible drummer. Anyone who wants to be good on the drums should check Phil Collins out. The man is an absolute master. There it is. That's Taylor Hawkins on his influences. Phil Collins. Hawkins' first two major inspirations were Roger Taylor and Stuart Copeland. He's a big Police fan. He reported that due to these two drummers' different styles, it gave him a wide spectrum of drumming style. He also mentioned that he would play along with songs on the radio or records like Queen's News of the World to enhance his skills when he was young. All right, a little bit into the personal life here. This is where it gets sad. Hawkins and his wife, Allison, married in 2005. They had 3 children together. They resided in Hidden Hills, California. Hawkins overdosed on heroin in August of 2001, which put him in a coma for 2 weeks. Speaking to Beats One host Matt Wilkinson in 2018 about the incident, Hawkins said, "I was partying a lot. I was a junkie per se, but I was partying. There was a year where the partying just got a little too heavy. Thank God on some level, this guy gave me the wrong line. Thank God on some level, this guy gave me the wrong line with the wrong thing one night. And I woke up going, what the fuck happened? That was a real changing point for me, he says. He was a childhood friend of current Yes lead vocalist John Davison. Hawkins was the one who suggested Davison to the Yes bassist Chris Squire even before the departure of replacement vocalist Benoit David. Strangely enough, John's name came up when we started working with Benoit, Squire recalled. In fact, my friend Taylor Hawkins had been telling me for years, if you ever need a replacement singer, I know exactly the guy. And then we get to this moment here. On March 25th, 2022, the Foo Fighters official social media accounts announced that Hawkins had died at 50. The cause is currently unconfirmed. The band were on tour in South America at the time of the announcement and were scheduled to perform at the Estéreo Picnic Festival in Bogota, Colombia that night. So yeah, he was in Bogota, Colombia. You know, I mean, I think of one thing when I think of Bogota, and yeah, I mean, what are you supposed to do? What absolutely everybody who is moved by this the passing of the great, the lovable, the wonderful Taylor Hawkins, drummer of the Foo Fighters. Everybody who's hearing this news tonight and who's sitting here like me trying to figure it out, can we be faulted? I mean, we're all speculating, right? We're all thinking. I mean, I was aware of his incident in 2001, and many fans were too. But the Foo Fighters, all of them, they seem to be such a together lot. And maybe Taylor seemed like the wild child, as drummers often are. But it seemed like they had hit a point where I would be really shocked. I would be shocked to learn that whatever took Taylor Hawkins so early was drugs. Maybe I shouldn't be shocked. Maybe I should be, well, it's rock and roll. Yeah, but there's rock and roll, and then there's the Foo Fighters. You know, there's the Foo Fighters are every bit as rock and roll as any band that has ever claimed the title of a rock band in the history of the genre. They are rock and roll. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they seem to be well past that era. You know, they seem that if they were going to be losing a member of their band to a drug overdose or a partying incident, that would have happened back in 2001 when Taylor Hawkins had his issue, his overdose and his trip in the coma and all that stuff. They have family. They're so highly regarded within the industry by everybody. I mean, I guess you could possibly find some young kids who truly don't appreciate the Foo Fighters, but just about everybody from, you know, classic rock Denzian dudes in their 60s and 70s to the entirety of the Gen X music scene, everybody who came out of the Seattle grunge scene to the post-punk, you know, the bands of the 90s, if you will, that they were contemporaries with, although they weren't necessarily contemporaries with these bands, because Dave Grohl was already a superstar. You know, when Dave Grohl formed the Foo Fighters, he was already the guy from Nirvana. So the Foo Fighters were already sort of head and tails above. They weren't just a new band. You know, they were the new thing that the guy from Nirvana is doing. So even though they may have been a little bit older than the people who, you know, they were contemporaries with between, say, 1997 and 2005 or whatever, your Fall Out Boys, you know, your Good Charlottes, you know, whatever you want to say, they were well regarded. They were just, I honestly, dude, I know some people, some music snobs who trying to be superior about their music, who would say things like, Oh, Foo Fighters, that's dad rock. Well, yeah, you know what? It's because they've been successful for 30 years. Yeah, you get to be dad rock. That's a badge of fucking honor. Yeah, dad rock Foo Fighters. That's a badge of fucking honor, man. That is the fact that they have been cranking out killer songs for the better part of 20, 25 years, 20, whatever, 1996, I guess they started. So that's 24, 25, 26 years, almost 30 years. Dad rock, fucking snobs. All right, let me take one more drink here, and I suggested maybe you should as well. Just why not? It's Friday night, and this is about being cool to a guy who seemed to be really cool. All right, I've had enough drinks. So before we jump into some of the other breaking news, I'll tell you a little bit about my relationship. Back in 1997, I was working at the alternative station in Chicago. For those of you who don't know, who may just be turning in, I've been working in major market radio in Chicago and in Dallas, mostly in talk for since 1992. And back in the mid and late 90s, I worked in Chicago at Q101, which at the time was one of the most important alternative rock stations in America. And I say that proudly. I say that with a lot of regard. I don't consider myself to be anything more than a hiccup in the history of that once great and lauded station, as I was only there 2 years. And I had never really wanted to be a music jock. I always wanted to be a personality and a talk show host and do that kind of thing. But I was blessed to have been at that station at a time when they were incredibly powerful. When they were the alternative rock station in the Midwest. You had a station in New York, you had a station in Los Angeles, and you had the station in Chicago. And we were the big one in Chicago. And we were always blessed to have access to some of the greatest bands of the era. And as I said, we were doing our big Q101 Summer Jam or what summer kickoff show at the gigantic outdoor music theater there outside of Chicago in Tinley Park, which time was called the World Music Theater. Now I don't know. I think Hollywood Amphitheater or something. I don't know. But the Foo Fighters were the headliners. It was a whole bunch of bands. I mean, it was like a billion bands. I don't even know that I don't even remember. I mean, I want to say maybe Chumbawamba was on the bill. I don't know. Who was the band that did that song? How Bizarre. I think they might have been on it. Kay's Choice, I believe, may have been on it. It was a whole bunch of the mid-90s, late 90s alternative rock bands. But our headliner, our big stars for that show was the Foo Fighters. And the Foo Fighters, one of the requests that they had that because it was occurring on a Saturday, and this was during the time of the Jordan Bulls, and they wanted to watch. They didn't want to miss the basketball game. So they wanted to get set up in their dressing room with I remember exactly how it went down. The initial idea, boy, this will tell you about the Foo Fighters. Okay, this will tell you about this band. I remember the initial idea was that there was some consternation within the radio station about how they were going to be able to get a feed for the basketball game into the dressing room, into the private dressing room. And somebody from the Foo Fighters, and I want to say it's Dave Grohl, but I don't know. It was probably management or somebody, but you got to believe that coolness just was everywhere within that organization. I remember it being said, why would we want it? Why would we want it in the dressing room? Can't you put it somewhere where everybody can watch? I mean, how great is that? So the radio sales department, as radio sales departments do, they went out to a furniture store and they got like a whole bunch of recliners and sectional sofas. And then they went to a media store and got a big, gigantic, TV set. And they set up this lounge backstage at the World Music Theater because the Foo Fighters wanted to watch the basketball game, and they didn't want to be like snobby about it. They didn't want to just be the only ones watching it or back in their thing. So, and as person at the station, a personality. I was executive producer at the morning show and one of the side silly boys on the morning show at that time. I was doing stage announcements and stuff. So when you're doing stage announcements, you spend a lot of time backstage just wandering around. And I found myself on the couch with the Foo Fighters and with some other people watching the basketball game. And at the time, Taylor Hawkins was dating the actress Minnie Driver. I don't know if you remember that, but they were a hot and heavy item back then. Minnie Driver and Taylor Hawkins. And Minnie Driver didn't know anything about NBA basketball. She's being from England or Ireland or wherever she's from. She's from somewhere over there. And so it fell on me, who was sitting right next to Minnie, and then Taylor was sitting right next to Minnie on the other side, to kind of explain to her all about, what she was watching. And Taylor would like jump in and he's like, okay, that's the guy. That's him. That's Michael Jordan. And she's going, oh, I've heard of him. And I'm like, yeah, you probably should have heard of him. And, it was small talk and it was basketball talk. And it was just like a bunch of dudes. It was essentially, beer was flowing and there were cocktails. It was a very, rock and roll friendly environment. And it was just a very nice experience. And I remember taking away from that. And, we watched the whole game. And, there was like locker room humor and you teasing each other back and forth. And yeah. I just remember, in all of these years of being in radio and working in rock radio for a good portion of that time, I've met a lot of rock stars. I've met a lot of these guys, and 8 out of 10 of them are pompous jagoffs. That's just the truth. These guys weren't. And particularly Taylor Hawkins wasn't. And one of the reasons that I was really tuned in to what Taylor Hawkins was doing was because it was me who was kind of spending the bulk of my attention on his girlfriend. And look, I know I'm a fantastic specimen now, but when you're a guy, you think, okay, this is this dude's girlfriend. I really don't want him to think, I don't want to overstep anything. I want to have fun with her and I want to entertain her. And there was a moment where he gave me this sort of thing like, no, man, thanks. You're occupying her, like that. Like he was goofing with the other guys, and and I'm looking at him, and I would make a joke, and I'm like, right, Taylor, and he's like, yeah, dude, of course, right. He was just so. Well, I mean, first of all, he was a golden god. He was a beautiful man. Of course, I'm heterosexual. Anybody who knows that I'm even a bit of I enjoy ladies, and I certainly enjoy Minnie Driver. But I was no competition for Taylor Hawkins, and Taylor Hawkins knew that. Taylor Hawkins knew that I was no threat to him. But still, there's that guy thing where it's like you want to make sure that he knows that, this is I'm just being friendly and I'm being a little bit teasy and, all that kind of stuff. He was great. So that's it. That's the story I have of Taylor Hawkins. I never ran into him again. Our paths never crossed again. But having that, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours, whatever it was. I remember after their set, this was cool. After their set, when the Foo Fighters were done and they all came off the stage, I was standing there in the wings and Taylor Hawkins went, bam, and just high-fived me really hard with a big giant smile on his face. And I just, it's like, it's a good guy. So that's my memory. That's what I have. That's that little moment with a guy in a band that I just completely adore. I love that band. I will always have that moment. And so tonight when I heard that he had passed away, I was like, oh, shit, man, and this is not to take away from anybody else in the Foo Fighters. Dave Grohl was incredibly friendly. He was so approachable. He was so personable to everybody from the lowest backstage local tech to a promotions girl to a show intern that just wanted to have a word or shake his hand. They were just wonderful people. They were just terrific people. But Taylor Hawkins was, funny enough, the one that I had the most contact with because it was sort of my duty to explain basketball to his girlfriend at the time, the actress Minnie Driver. Minnie Driver was also wonderful too, which over the years, I've heard a lot of stories about her where people talk about how she's difficult. And I'm like, I don't know. She seemed pretty cool to me. I remember she was drinking vodka. She was drinking just vodka in a glass and over ice. Yeah. All right, let's start getting into some things. Let's find out exactly what happened with Taylor tonight. All right, so we'll leave that up. This is the Foo Fighters statement. Should I leave that up or should I maybe? I'll tell you what. I'm going to leave that up while I am searching for some other things to possibly replace that with. I'm going to see. I'm gonna. You know what? Let me just see what the absolute latest is as far as news. TMZ, for whatever you think of their coverage, TMZ typically has a little bit more information a lot of times than other people. Let's refresh this. Let's see what the absolute latest is because I want things. Okay, BBC, this is 30 minutes ago. USA Today, 20 minutes ago. Okay, yeah, let's do this. Let's just look at Taylor Hawkins. There we go. We'll look at what some other rock luminaries are saying about Taylor Hawkins right now. Okay, we'll just go with this. Here's one right out of the top. Boom, there we go. Okay. Give me a moment here, folks. We're doing all this on the fly. Appreciate you joining me here late night on a Friday evening when we don't typically do a show. Again, we typically only do shows Monday through Friday, noon to whenever. Noon to 2, noon to 2:30, and then we come back, we do another one at 9. All right, so are we sharing this? Yeah, we're sharing this. All right, Tom Morello. This is Tom Morello posting about Taylor. God bless you, Taylor Hawkins. I loved your spirit and your unstoppable rock power. Rest in peace, my friend. Who else do we got? Trey Wallace, a beautiful man that brought joy to so many. Oh, here you go. Yeah, this is the Under Pressure. All right. Let's see what else we got. Daniel Hayes says, I saw them 3 weeks ago in Geelong, Victoria, Australia. So tragic. Yes, very tragic. Look at you. Look at you. Are you in Australia, Daniel, or are you just a jet setter who gets to go see great rock bands all over the globe? Felipe says, I was going to watch their show on Sunday during Lollapalooza. I am shocked. Yeah, we're all shocked, brother. We're all shocked. Lexi says, really sad. Waking up to Taylor Hawkins' death was really shocking and devastating. Yeah, man. I'm with you, Lexi. It's not a whole lot of fun. Yeah, oh Daniel, so you're in Australia, man. Good on you. And Daniel, I think it's cool that you're in Australia, but if you listen to my noon to whenever show every day, Central Standard Time, 12 o'clock, Australia's one of those places that I really want to go to, but I just can't be in a plane that long. I just can't. It's just too long. I get too anxious. The amount of anxiety medications that I would have to take to be in an airplane for that long. Oh my God. God love you. You're living in one of the most beautiful places on the planet. Good for you. Good for you. I would desperately love to go. Hey, Daniel Ricciardo is my favorite F1 driver. So there you go. I do have some fond feelings for Australia. I just don't think I'll ever get there. Koalas. Who doesn't like koalas? Barely Vocal Media says was looking forward to Sonic Highways 2. I'm sure I would love Australia, Daniel. Just what I don't love are long plane rides. I'm here. I'll tell you what. You find yourself in Texas, Daniel. You get yourself here to Dallas, Texas, and we'll go out for a beer, and you can tell me all about Australia. Let's see here. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just trying to. I want to catch up on some of these new people that we have jumping into the chat room here. Colombia is here. Well, that's where he was. Altitude may have contributed, but I don't know. Local news quoted a witness said that he had chest pains and they called an ambulance. Okay, that's see, I'm not seeing that. That's thank you. I'm sorry, I don't want to mispronounce your name. Is it Anjna? Anjna? AJNA? My bad. I'm sorry. All that I have seen so far and it was just what I was able to cull together before I jumped on here with the stream, was that he had not shown up for something that the band had, some plan. I don't know if it was a sound check. I don't know if it was like a meet and greet, or I don't know, just something wildly wonderful that the Foo Fighters guys do with their fans. What it could be anything with these guys. That he hadn't shown up and that they had sent somebody back to the hotel to kind of get Taylor moving. And when he didn't answer his door, the hotel security was brought in and they went into the door. And then the only other bit of information that I have was that he was found unresponsive. So now, according to what they're saying here, that he was alive. I don't know. That would almost make it even more tragic, right? That I don't know. All right, let's keep looking. Let's see what else do we have. Who else is saying some things about him here? We'll get some. What is this now? Oh, okay. Let's enjoy a little bit of his drumming, huh? 2 minutes and 18 seconds of the great Taylor Hawkins. Oh, I know what they're going into. Here we go. Play the hits, baby. Here we go. Tell you, dad rock. Kiss my ass. Kiss my ass, you dumbass punks. Call it dad rock. Who is that? Let's see here. Smashing Pumpkins say that our deepest sympathies to Taylor's family, his fans, and of course his band. Stephen Thomas Arrywine. Some of these blue checks, I don't know. I don't know them by their names. So if you're in the chat room and you know who these people are, help me out here. Tell me who they are. Taylor Hawkins might have been the only drummer alive who could support Dave Grohl and not make you wish Dave Grohl was sitting behind the kid. Boy, isn't that true? Oh, isn't that a great one? Isn't that Dave Grohl, y'all? Though, that he could play some drums too. And it's absolute wow, what a great statement. What a great statement. Might have been the only drummer alive who could support Dave Grohl and not make you wish Dave Grohl was sitting behind the kid. That's a pretty great statement. Let's see here. Throwback to when Taylor Hawkins and the Foo Fighters rickrolled the bigots of Westboro Baptist Church. Okay, let's see this. All right, looks like the Westboro Baptist goons are protesting something, just being horrible. Look, there's Taylor holding the sign. Of course, Taylor Hawkins right there, known by his blonde hair. Not sure I recall that moment in Foo Fighters' greatness, but certainly does appear to be par for the course. Let's see here. Oh, this is nice. I saw this earlier. This is the kind of dude he was, man. This is Taylor Hawkins coming over to a bunch of fans outside the hotel room, and he takes the opportunity to make a little girl's night. Taylor. See, I think that's why shit like that is precisely why you're going to see this kind of emotional outpouring and appreciation for a guy who was a drummer. It doesn't happen for guys who are, look, I know, but what my point is that 9 out of 10 rock stars, hell, 9.5 out of 10 rock stars, they don't give a shit about these people that are sitting outside their hotel room. They certainly don't give a shit about some little girl who probably doesn't buy their albums or go to their concerts. It's the kind of people they are. It's the kind of people that, sure, let's say they are. But this kind of person that he was. Walking into his hotel room, he's probably tired. He's probably just done a string of stupid-ass interviews with stupid-ass people like me, and he just wants to maybe go into his hotel room, crack a beer, do whatever the hell it is that he does, relax a little bit. But no, he stops, he comes over, he sees a little girl. I mean, do you know how many of these celebrities of the level of the magnitude of a Taylor Hawkins just feel like they cannot be bothered? They walk in, they wear the sunglasses, they put their head down, they won't even wave. It's just ignore it. Ignore the adulation. Ignore the people who, honestly, all you got to do is turn and wave to them, and they parked, they walked, they waited, they're screaming like idiots. A wave would have been fine. And here you have the kind of guy that he was. He comes over to the line, he comes over, he hugs a little girl, he picks her up, he takes a picture. Just a nice guy. Let's see here. Let's see if we get anything else here. Foo Fighters drummer Taylor Hawkins has passed away at the age of 50. His musical spirit and infectious laughter will live on. We've already seen that. Billboard Music, the world was lucky to have his gifts for the time that it did. Okay. There's a CNN jumping on, BBC News jumping on. John Stamos. Let's see what John Stamos has to say, huh? All right. John Stamos says, this was Taylor Hawkins' last text to me. Yeah, we've yet to fully have a hang. Gotta put that shit together before we die. Wise words from my friend. Put that shit together. I'm so fucking sad. Another one gone too soon. Isn't that interesting? That's a twosome that I hadn't really thought about. John Stamos hanging out with Taylor Hawkins. It honestly seems to me that Taylor Hawkins had no pretension about him. He wasn't affected at all by any of the glamour, any of the money, or the lifestyle. He just seemed like a guy that just, like I said, man, he just seemed to be tickled by every breath. Phineas. So heartbroken to hear about Taylor Hawkins passing. What an incredible talent who didn't also need to be so kind and generous and cool, but was all those things anyway. The world was so lucky to have his gifts for the time that it did. Rest in peace. 50 years old. Look, that's my age, right? I mean, it's I know full well that 50 doesn't feel like 30, right? I mean, there are things that start to feel a little bit. Here's what happens to you at 50. You start to feel things that you've never felt before, and you feel at 50 that you know your body, and you start to feel weird things, and you're like, oh, there it is. That's cancer. That's gonna kill whatever that is. Oh my God. So, even though I think it's easy to just assume that this was some kind of excess partying or drug related or something, could have been anything, man. Could have been a heart. Could have been, I don't know. Could be an aneurysm. Could be a brain thing. Could be an embolism. It could be anything. It could be anything. But unfortunately, because he's a rock star and because we do know that he had in 2001 a situation where he did overdose and he was in a coma. You think 2001, it's 21 years ago. So, nothing since. So this would be very strange. Nickelback checking in. Utter disbelief at the news of Taylor Hawkins. Our deepest condolences to his family, his bandmates, his team, his friends, and everyone that was ever touched by the music he created with the Foo Fighters and Alanis, and so many others. This is so incredibly sad. YouTube Music, an inspiration to drummers everywhere. Okay. Let's see what this is, huh? So let's watch this.
Think of all the other
this is a little raw footage of Taylor Hawkins eating.
Are you okay with your chick bailing? Or are you pretty bummed about it?
Oh, it was pretty devastating.
Now think of all the other chicks you get to nail now.
That is a good point.
Was the sex hot?
It was awesome.
Oh yeah, man,
it's fantastic.
Well, goddamn, that's a whole other issue, right there. And you're going to go through now you're going to look, you're going to be that guy for the next couple months, and you're going to be wanting to get laid so bad that you're going to be that guy at the bar.
It's going to be obvious.
Yeah, it's obvious. Yeah. So then all of a sudden you're going to go through this rejuvenation period where you're just having sex with lots of different women,
right?
Using condoms, of course, and then being a good, upstanding, responsible.
I just want to point out, I don't know who he's talking to. Maybe I should have read the thing. He could be talking to a caterer backstage. I mean, this is just how gregarious he was. He was just that dude. About 15 years ago, I got to interview him backstage before a Foo Fighters show. My ex left me just a few hours before. I met up with him, and it went from an interview to a heart-to-heart with Taylor. This will forever be an interview I'll remember. Who is that guy? Steve? Oh, okay, there you go.
Person, and you're going to be like, wow, this is amazing. This is the best time of my life. It's like my 20s again. Oh. But you also will be looking for the one the whole time.
Yeah.
The time before I met my wife, there was like a year period where I was a bachelor. It was the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the thing is, the whole time I was still like looking for the one, you know. And then you get married and you go, God damn, that was fun. and enjoy this time period, because you will find another girl and she will move in, and quite possibly this one will be the one that you marry, you know, and you'll have days when you'll look over at her and you'll go, God, you know, I remember when I was killing it, nailing all these different chicks, and that's over now, and I'm married now. But there's going to be lots of times when you're going to be like, this is the best thing ever, you know, and it is the best thing ever. But she wasn't the right one.
Yeah, no, you're right.
She wasn't the one.
This is just hilarious. How did it go from an interview to...
This is way more important.
This is
talking about the...
far more important.
Everybody knows about the... Just go on
Foo Fighters.
Go on the internet, go on YouTube, you find out all you need to know about the damn Foo Fighters.
From now on, relationship problems.
Relationships.
I'm contacting Taylor. Hey, man, it's a real pleasure to talk to you.
Well, look, ask me a few more questions. This is silly.
She's like,
ask me a few more questions. I don't think I've ever been involved in an interview situation where somebody at the level of Taylor Hawkins was like that. It was like, oh, you know what? I don't think you got what you need for your job requirement. Ask me a few more questions. Come on. That's, you know, you can't use any of that. Let me help you out here. What up?
All right, I'm bored. Let's go.
All right, well, then let's talk. What else do you want to talk about? You guys played Wembley Stadium.
Wow. I mean, that's really, that really sort of sums up. That's exactly the kind of personality that I remembered when I told you my little story of my very brief encounter with Taylor Hawkins. Ah, boy. See if there's anything else like that. We'll see if we can find some other good stuff, and then let's see what this is. What is this?
You know I love you, bro.
Oh, God. You know I love you too, buddy.
I mean, I really love you, man.
I love you too.
Okay. You know I love you, bro.
Oh, God. You know I love you too, buddy.
I mean, I really love you, man.
Well, yeah, you know, everybody, you know, him and Dave Grohl seem to be particularly close. Of all the people in the Foo Fighters, obviously for, you know, authentic reasons. Dave Grohl was the guy. He was the main guy. But of the other people in the band, it was, you know, it seemed to be that it was Dave and Taylor. It's like those two guys seemed to be the ones that were, not that I am certainly not marginalizing anybody else in the band. I'm just saying that they seem to have a particularly interesting and loving relationship between the two of them. I mean, they all seem like a truly wonderful band. They seem like they all do truly, you know, love each other. Like, this is not a band that this is not Oasis, right? This is not a band that I would expect anything terrible to happen. All right, let's see. No, that's just a GIF. We don't need to waste our time. Okay, I guess this was from tonight. Coldplay.
Because they're all friends and we care about them. Feel like we should send love to the Foo Fighters, because we all knew Taylor, their drummer, was a beautiful, beautiful man. And so we're going to play this song for the Foo Fighters, and this is called Living. So I'm not talking about it very well. I'm sorry, it's very new, and yeah. Because they're all friends.
Okay, I imagine we'll see a whole lot of those kinds of things. Okay. All right, we're gonna jump into some news. We will see. We'll cover some other things. Here's a great clip where Dave Grohl is telling a great story, only for Taylor Hawkins to step in and inform him he's got some key details wrong. Okay, let's watch this.
I heard that he would watch our sound checks.
There we go.
I mean, you're on the opening for Dylan acoustically, right?
That's killer.
I never saw him.
Yeah, he just hides out, right?
He
appears.
He summoned Dave, and I heard that he would watch our sound checks every once in a while, but like...
We'd been on the tour for maybe 4 or 5 shows, 4 shows maybe, and someone came up and said, "Hey, Dave, Bob wants to talk to you." And I'm like, "Bob who?" And they said, "Dylan." I'm like, "What did I do?" They're like, "Did I say something bad? Or what did I do? What did I?" They're like, "No, I just want to say hi." So I walked out. I was in some hockey arena, and they're like, "Yeah, he's right down that hallway. Just turn the corner." Remember that scene from Casino?
Yeah.
Where Robert De Niro says to Sharon Stone, like, no, it's right there.
Yeah, and he keeps
right
walking
through
and
there.
walking.
The next one, right through that door where they're gonna whack her. Yeah. That's how it felt. And he was like, they're like, "It's right down that hallway. Take a left right there."
It was Goodfellas, and it wasn't Sharon Stone. It was the other girl, the chick who plays the Sopranos.
Yeah.
Get the story right, Dave.
I just wanted to get that,
Thanks, Taylor.
Sharon Stone does not need any more credit.
No more credit for Sharon.
Anyway, so I walk down this hallway, just like in Goodfellas, and I walk down the hallway, and I turn the corner, and I just see this dude, leather pants, black leather boots, black leather jacket with a black hoodie, standing up against the wall, just like that. I'm like, "Oh, that's Bob Dylan, man." And so I walk up like, "How about, hey, how you doing?" He's like, "Oh man, how's it going?" And we talked for a little bit, and he was totally cool. And he's like, "Man, what's that song, Everlong?" And I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, you gotta show me that song. I want to play that." It's just like, dude, you have enough good songs. You don't need
your own
mine.
songs, man.
Yeah. Hands off my song, Bob.
But that's the same. But isn't that the same song that Letterman wanted you to play when he came back?
Yeah.
It's a pretty powerful song.
I guess.
It's touring with Dylan, man.
Dude, you got to do it once in your life, right?
Absolutely.
I recommend it to everybody.
Everybody should tour with Dylan once. Okay, Dave. Let's see if there's anything else here. Faith No More chiming in. Rest in peace, Taylor Hawkins. Gone too soon. Sending love to the family and the Foos. Okay. Let's see. What is this? Oh, wow. Okay. So is this is the concert they were supposed to play tonight, I guess. I guess the people were already there. Oh my God. In lieu of performance, candles were placed on stage to honor Hawkins. Taylor Hawkins passed away just hours before Foo Fighters were due to headline Festival Estéreo in Colombia. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm just looking for something. Katie Couric checking in. Look at this. I met Taylor Hawkins and his wife Allison just a couple of months ago at a restaurant in Malibu. They were both great and rushing home to get back to their kids. This is such heartbreaking news. Yeah, it is. It is heartbreaking, but as heartbreaking as it is shocking. It is really shocking. And that seems like such a strange thing to say. That seems like an emotion when news like this breaks of a rock star suddenly dying. That should never be shocking, but for some reason in this particular case, it feels that way, which is odd. Is that Sheila E? Like the Sheila E? I am devastated to hear the news of one of my favorite drummers, Taylor Hawkins, has passed. Blessings to his family and the band. I'm so sorry for your loss. Taylor, you will be missed. Okay. So I'm gonna get out of this. We're gonna go full screen and let's get back and see if we can find. I'll jump into the text. We'll into the chat here. We'll talk with some of you people. Let's see here. Okay, so Ajna is saying that somebody called an ambulance. So he was. That doesn't necessarily conflict with what I heard that he was found unresponsive. Rob says he read that he was found unresponsive in his hotel room. Yeah, that's what I heard as well. But again, this is so early in all of this, right? What time is it in Colombia? What time zone are they on? I mean, they're in South America, so they can't be all that different than what we are here. Let me see. It's Central Time Zone. Yeah, so it's our time. It's 12:23 a.m. right now in Bogota, Colombia. Ambulance came too late. That's what the local papers say. Cliff wonders if they are done. If by that, Cliff, you mean the Foo Fighters? Yeah. I don't. Oh, man, yeah, boy, that is something that I really hadn't thought about till right now. But does Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters, do they continue with another drummer? I bet they don't. I can't imagine. I mean, this is what Zeppelin went on without Bonham, right? The Who went on without Moon. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. He was such a core component of the entire Foo Fighters vibe of the whole. I mean, he really did. Certainly Dave Grohl was the front man. He was the Foo Fighters. He was out in front and he was the main guy. But so much of Dave Grohl's spirit and his vibe and the energy, the whole brand of what Foo Fighter-ness was due in large part to the chemistry between Dave Grohl and Taylor Hawkins. And, like I said before, the other guys in the band, look, the Foo Fighters are a band, but it was Dave Grohl and Taylor Hawkins were the ones that people knew. Mr. T. Pizowitz, I'm sorry, I'm not going to get that right, says Dave continued on after Kurt passed. I believe they will continue on even from this. Yeah, but Dave continued on after Kurt passed. Dave was a 20-something. Dave was a guy in his 20s. He had a whole lot of rock and roll left to do. I mean, at this point, you're talking about Dave Grohl, who is going to be a two-time Rock and Roll Hall of Fame member. Dave Grohl is going to be he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of Nirvana. Foo Fighters are absolutely going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's going to be in there for that. He's got more money than God. He seems to now be dabbling in other forms of media that seem to have his attention. They just released that crazy horror thing that they did back in February. I don't know. I think that this is the kind of thing, the loss of your best friend, your bandmate, your partner in this musical making experience. I see what you're saying. I mean, I don't know if I'd want. I don't know if I want the Foo Fighters. I don't know if I want to. I don't know. It's a difficult one. It's hard to process now in just a couple of hours since this news came that Taylor Hawkins. Oh my God. Well, sorry, I almost slipped up there. Dave continued with a completely new band. I think he was strangled and drugged. Bill says Zeppelin didn't go on without Bonham. They didn't. Zeppelin didn't. Yeah, you know what, Bill? I'm sorry. You're absolutely right. Yeah, you're right. The Who did. Freaking Who is still touring. But yeah, no, you're right, Bill. I'm sorry. You caught me there. I was just freeballing my thoughts, and that one was wrong. What else do we have here? Will C says, I definitely like some Foo Fighters songs, but I can't say I knew who the drummer was. They had already played Columbia before. Aja also says 90s kids remember him from every video. Yeah, man. The Foo Fighter videos were fun. Back in the day when MTV was still a thing, when it was still relevant. You got excited for Foo Fighter videos. That was, the new Foo Fighter video is going to be on tonight. It's debuting world premiere on MTV. You always knew that they were going to be creative, silly, fun. Foo Fighters, Beastie Boys, those were the videos. Those were the videos that always didn't take themselves too seriously. At a time when just about every music video took themselves way too seriously. Rob Barr, no way drugs. He made jokes about no way he could play at their level. Screw Lou says, I just reckon his heart gave out after the lifestyle. They always go at 1,000%. Yeah, they do, but that doesn't happen at 50, man. That's why this is so weird. These guys die in their 30s. That's when the XS seems to catch up with most of these guys, or the living life on a tightrope or tight wire, whatever. 50, he's a guy with kids that he loves, and a home and a wife and an entire life, and probably outside interests and outside friends. Dude's hanging out with John Stamos, for crying out loud. I mean, the guy was not exactly living the lifestyle of Keith Richards in 1972. He's just a little bit. I remember Fanzansky says, I remember when Taylor got his start as the touring drummer for Alanis Morissette. Yeah, I can't say that I remember him with Alanis Morissette. We were talking about that earlier. He appears in the Jagged Little Pill, the video for You Ought to Know. And, it was before he was Taylor Hawkins of the Foo Fighters. So, at the time when I was watching that video, I don't think I really took notice of the drummer. But I'm going to pull that up probably in the next couple of days or something, just to see that. I mean, I'd known that he played with Alanis Morissette because I was familiar with the story of how he came to be the new drummer of the Foo Fighters, because he wasn't the original drummer of the Foo Fighters. I don't know that a lot of people remember that, but he wasn't. He wasn't the original drummer. When Taylor Hawkins came to the Foo Fighters, it was kind of, well, again, I say I was working in alternative radio at the time. So it was a deal. It was a deal in alternative radio. It was because he had been a bit of a name as a drummer for this extremely hot performer Alanis Morissette. So Barely Vocal Media says, I think they'll start up again. They'll need time to heal, but they're all about the music and the fans. I could see them I could definitely see them taking a break. Like, I wouldn't expect them to play. Aren't they headlining Lollapalooza Chicago this year? I think when we covered that on the noon show. By the way, we do a live stream on current events, hot topics, trending topics, headlines, all that kind of stuff. Hot takes. I'll just go through the topics. I'll say, this is happening. Boom. This is my hot take on it, and move on to the next one. We do that every Monday through Friday from noon to whenever. And we also do a second stream, 2 streams per night that we do here. We do that one. It's called Pillow Talk. It comes on at 9:00 Central Time. We were just going over the entire the band list for Lollapalooza. They released it just last week. Was it Foo Fighters? It was. Yes, it was Foo Fighters who was headlining. Yeah. Okay. Well, Foo Fighters, I think Metallica as well. Was it Metallica? You know what? Let me. Hey, man, we're just hanging out on a Friday night, all trying to digest this terrible, terrible news that we got today. Where is it? Here we go. Okay, come on. Stop with the pop-ups, Lollapalooza. I love you guys, but... All right, looks like Thursday night, the big act is Miley Cyrus. Miley Cyrus on Thursday night at Lollapalooza. Friday night looks like Tyler, the Creator. Yeah. Saturday night, Post. No, is this last? This looks like last year's. Is this last year? Didn't Post Malone play last year? Foo Fighters. Yeah, Foo Fighters were closing out Lollapalooza August 1st. No, that was last year. Jeez Louise. Okay, my bad. My bad. I'm not sure which night they were supposed to play. They weren't supposed to play. That's right. It was Green Day. I don't know why I was thinking it was Foo Fighters. It was Green Day. This year's Lollapalooza in Chicago was Metallica, Dua Lipa, J. Cole, Green Day. Foo Fighters played last year. That's what it was. Okay. All right. So, but I am pretty sure that the Foo Fighters will probably they ain't going to play the Lollapalooza Brazil that's coming up. I know that they were scheduled to play that, and they were supposed to perform on the Grammys. That's coming up. They're probably not going to do that. Although I do. Here's what I imagine. I imagine that there will be something at the Grammys. There will be some sort of thing that occurs at this year's Grammys. The Foo Fighters were supposed to perform at the Grammys this year. There will be something, even if I don't know. I don't know. Trying to think of who would be an interesting person that they would have sit in for him. I mean, who if you had to do a tribute to him at the Grammys where the Foo Fighters wanted to come out and play for him, he mentioned a number of drummers who were his heroes. Phil Collins is not in any condition health-wise to play drums. If you've seen Phil Collins recently, he's doing concerts, but he's sitting on a stool and he does not look well. I don't want to, what do I know? I don't know. It's just that the stories are that Phil Collins isn't well. Stuart Copeland. I think Stuart Copeland from the Police might be the guy. That might be the guy that they go with. Neil Peart is gone. Yeah. So that would actually that might be pretty cool. That might be pretty cool. The Foo Fighters, if they had to play one show just to do a little something for them, maybe even have a group of rotating drummers of people who were friends of Taylor's or who Taylor idolized, or I imagine Stuart Copeland might be one of them. All right. Excuse me. All right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to switch over to a different news search engine so that I can get everything, the newest stuff that's going on, not just whatever is out there. All right, let's see what's the latest information being posted. Here we go. Miley Cyrus says she'll dedicate the next show to late Foo Fighters drummer Taylor Hawkins. Taylor Hawkins mourned by Ozzy Osbourne. Foo Fighters drummer Taylor Hawkins die. Rockers react to death of Foo Fighters Taylor Hawkins. Let's see what some of these are. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Paul Stanley, of course, of Kiss, he says, speechless and gutted. Taylor was a great guy, a dad and a husband. My heart goes out to them, Dave, and the entire band. What awful news, Paul Stanley. Peter Criss, tragic news. Rest in peace, Taylor Hawkins. God bless his family, bandmates, and friends. Again, Peter Criss from Kiss. Here we go. We're just going to run through Kiss, I guess. Gene Simmons. Gene Simmons says, shocked and saddened. Hold on. Stupid pop-ups. Oh, boy, do I hate the pop-ups. Pop-ups are a pain in the old ass. Hold on. Give me a second here. Gene Simmons says, shocked and saddened to hear Taylor Hawkins has passed away today. Our prayers and condolences go out to the family. Go out to Foo Fighters, all their friends and fans. Very sad. Guns N' Roses simply puts out Forever Missed. Ozzy Osbourne says Taylor Hawkins was truly a great person and an amazing musician. My heart, my love, and my condolences go out to his wife, his children, his family, his band, and his fans. See you on the other side, Ozzy. Geezer Butler. All right, so we're just going to... Geezer Butler, Black Sabbath. Shocked and saddened to learn of the passing of Taylor Hawkins. My condolences to his family. Boy. We saw that one. David Draymond. I've seen a lot of live bands in my time, and I can honestly say that I have never seen a drummer and guitar player interact in a more jovial, genuine, and entertaining way than how Taylor Hawkins and Dave Grohl did. One of the absolute best in history. Devastated. Tom Morello says, God bless you, Taylor Hawkins. I loved your spirit and your unstoppable rock power. Rest in peace, my friend. Alex Skolnick. Forgive me. I don't know who Alex Skolnick is, but he's a blue check and he's in with all these rockers. I've known who everybody was so far, but crushing news. Never met, but admired greatly. His kindness and his earnestness was contagious. Boy, wasn't that true. That's truly he had an infectious, positive energy about him. Even from afar, and what talent he had. Few could drum for Dave Grohl, who has now suffered 2 losses of key members of historic bands of his. Now this. Cece, Poison. Oh my God. So bummed about the passing of Taylor Hawkins. Was the nicest guy when I met him. And he was such an influential drummer. My heart goes out to his family, the Foo Fighters, and everyone affected by their loss of a legend. Joel Madden says, no words. Nuds. So here's another one. I don't know who Nuds is. I can't claim to have known him well, but we always hugged when we ran into each other. He was such a sweet and funny guy. I'm gutted. See, here's the thing, and this always bothers me. When people pass, when celebrities pass, and other celebrities come out and offer their words about them, it doesn't matter if it was the biggest bastard on the planet. They always get, what a wonderful person, what a talent, what a nice guy, what a this, what a that. Even when, many times the individual in question was anything but those things. That is not the case here. Everybody who is saying what a nice and kind and spirited individual Taylor Hawkins was, yeah, they're telling the truth. They're telling the truth. I'm sure he had his moments. I am sure we all have our moments, but we're talking about the public persona, this person that fans, regular people like you and me just adored. This was someone who seemed to understand that he had an obligation to us, the fans, to be what we want, what we expect. And to have that level of self-awareness is just something that's rare. It's just so rare in celebrities. It's called being overly affected. When most of these celebrities, they're just so affected by their fame. They can't. It's so exhausting being kind. No, it's not. And people like this, and people like Dave Grohl, I'll throw another, people like Bruce Springsteen, just to throw that out there. These are people who seem to understand how much a simple wave, a simple smile, coming over and spend just a second, just acknowledge that I, as a pedestrian, civilian fan of yours, just acknowledge that I exist and that for one brief moment, your life and my life coexist. Acknowledging that and understanding that is such an important factor in being somebody who is absolutely loved and adored. And I think this is what we're seeing now in the case of Taylor Hawkins. We're seeing an individual who understood that, maybe he just never lost. Obviously he grew up, he's a rock fan. So obviously maybe he had at some point, maybe even before he was Taylor Hawkins, when he was just, getting his entree into the world of rock and roll, maybe he crossed paths with somebody that was his idol. And he can remember now how cool that felt, how excited he was, how nervous he was. And he didn't seem, that wasn't lost on him whenever he seemed to interact with Foo Fighter fans. And that's a wonderful thing. And, forgive me if I'm getting a little bit, if I sound a little full of shit, but, Doc Coyle says, if you want to know Taylor Hawkins a bit better, I highly recommend watching the Foo Fighters doc Back and Forth and the Alanis Morissette doc Jagged. What a beautiful guy. Mike Portnoy, in absolute shock and disbelief over the passing of Taylor Hawkins, I've always had so much admiration for him. Amazing drummer and a gem of a guy who was always fun to be around. I'm absolutely gutted. My deepest condolences to his bandmates. Oh, we already read The Smashing Pumpkins. Styx. Look at this. Styx. All right, man. I love me some Styx. Well, yeah, south side of Chicago. They're one of our golden gods of rock and roll. Styx. Styx put out a little message for Taylor Hawkins. Taylor had been out to a couple Styx shows in L.A., and we also hung out at Neil Young's Bridge School benefit. Before that, we happened to be seated next to each other at a U2 show in L.A. 20 years ago. He was always a lovely guy, and his talent on the drums was obvious. A terrible loss, and our sincere condolences to his family and the Foo Fighters family. Styx checking in. Okay, I'm just going through some of these. I'm looking for some more interesting ones. Okay, so Wolf Van Halen. I'll never forget meeting Taylor on tour in San Diego in 22. He was such a ridiculously kind man. God, there it is again, right? Ridiculously kind man. The dude just emanated cool. Him, my pops, Eddie Van Halen, and I talked for as long as we could until we had to leave. An incredible drummer and singer. He was a constant inspiration to me throughout my entire career. This is like a kick in the gut. My most heartfelt condolences go out to his family. You'll be sorely missed, Taylor. That's from Wolf Van Halen. Let me see here. Okay. I'm skipping over ones that Scott Ian from Anthrax. Hey, we'll throw him in there. Absolutely crushed by the news about Taylor. He was just such a great guy. Our hearts are with his family and band. Okay. Well, see how many more of these do we got? The Black Crowes official, Chris Robinson checking in. Chris Robinson, the Black Crowes are so sad to hear about the loss of Taylor Hawkins. We send our thoughts and love to Taylor's family and the Foo Fighters. Rest in peace, Taylor. Brian May. There you go. Brian May. Brian May of Queen, one of Taylor Hawkins' idols. Brian May checking in saying, no, it cannot be. Heartbroken. Taylor, you were family to us. Our friend, our brother, our beloved child. Bless you. We will miss you so bad. Brian May. Brian May's the guitar player for Queen. Wow, all of these contemporary bands that I have not heard about since the first time I heard of the Foo Fighters. 311, just heartbroken. That's all they put out. A lot of Chris Cornell. Well, wait a second. Chris Cornell is Chris Cornell has died. Okay, this is his family. Chris Cornell official. So this would be the estate of Chris Cornell. Heartbroken. Our thoughts and prayers are with you and your loved ones. Rest in peace, Taylor. I mean, that's not a possibility, right? That would be. I mean, I talk all the time. I suffer from depression, and I've dealt with the whole suicidal thoughts kind of thing. That's that just comes with the territory when you have the family curse, as I like to call it, depression. That's suicide's not a possibility. I could, but there you go. I just read something from Chris Cornell. Chris Cornell, just another fantastic talent. A guy who, boy, you're Chris Cornell. You don't get to live to be 80, but you got to live 50 years as Chris Cornell. That's something. That's something. But he took his own life. That's why. I mean, you try to. That's the kind of thing that people who don't have depression, who don't suffer from all sorts of mental, emotional sort of. I'm not going to call it a disability because far more of us have it than probably even know. But yeah, when it was told to me that Chris Cornell had depression and he would suffered for many years with it, and then to learn that he had killed himself, you don't wonder, you don't go, you don't say, why would a guy like that kill himself? No, you understand, because only people who have it kind of understand. It's not about what you have in the moment. It's about other things. And it's not the time to talk about that. But that's interesting. That's an interesting thing. I mean, because I don't feel comfortable just considering that after 21 years, since Taylor Hawkins had an incident with drugs, heroin, where he overdosed, after 21 years, beautiful wife, wonderful family, incredible career, the love of an entire global population who enjoys rock and roll music. I mean, does anybody hate him? Is there anybody who's like, that guy's a dick? I mean, you could grab any random rock band out of the ether, throw them down, and you will find people who will go, I don't like that guy in that band. That guy in that band's a dick. That guy said that. There is nobody that I think has that feeling, except for maybe maybe some guys who dated girls that Taylor Hawkins ended up stealing them away from. But but nothing real, nothing. Nobody had a problem with it. Bullet Boys, the Bullet Boys. I've heard devastating news about mine and our brother Taylor Hawkins passing away. I'm gutted. He was such an amazing, loving, full of life, always beautiful man, incredibly talented, a star. Our hearts will go out to Taylor, his wife, and the entire Hawkins family. And, of course, David and the fellas of Foo Fighters. Travis Barker says, I don't have words. Sad to write this or to never see you again. I'll never forget Laguna Beach days when I was a trash man playing in a punk rock band and you were playing with Alanis. You'd come watch me play in dive bars and I'd be like, kid, you're a star. And I thought you were crazy, but you gave me so much hope. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Let me do that justice. Travis Barker says, I don't have the words. Sad to write this or to never see you again. I will never forget Laguna Beach days when I was a trash man playing in a punk rock band and you were playing with Alanis. You'd come watch me play in dive bars and be like, kid, you're a star. And I thought you were crazy, but you gave me so much hope and determination. Years later, we toured together with Blink and the Foos in Australia, and I have the best memories of smoking cigarettes in the restroom of flights we were on together and watching your set every night. To say I'll miss you, my friend, isn't enough. Till the next time we talk drums and smoke in the boys' room. Rest in peace. That's Travis Barker. Okay. All right. Let's gonna need to chase that one. Jeff Glenn, good to see you back, man. I was worried about you. Were you not around this afternoon, or was it another day that you missed? I don't know. You weren't around, and I know that you're going through some gimpy times. I was a little concerned that maybe you weren't around. Jeff Glenn says, why not get a guitarist so Dave could play drums? Well, I mean, I suppose you could do that. But, Dave's the front man of the band now. And it was brought up earlier in the chat that that why would the band even go on? Somebody quite openly wondered whether or not the Foo Fighters band would still go on, and that's a very good question. I don't know. I do not know that they will go on. Jeff Glenn says I missed all day yesterday and today. All right, fine, let it slide. I know you're going through some things, my man, so I'll let it slide. Oof. I'm looking for something that has some actual timeline details about how this went down. At this point, all of the news that seems to be breaking at the moment is just about tributes to him and people talking about how much they missed him. Taylor Hawkins, who served 25 years as the legendary drummer for rock band Foo Fighters, has died. The band released a statement earlier tonight announcing his tragic and untimely loss. No cause of death has been revealed. Okay. Hawkins would spend 25 years with the band, appearing on their third album, There's Nothing Left to Lose, Forward. It's a tenure that saw him win Grammys, international success, and the title of one of the world's best drummers. Not an easy distinction to carve out for oneself when you're sharing a stage with Dave Grohl. That's pretty true. Grohl did some drumming on There Is Nothing, but ultimately ceded the seat to Hawkins permanently on the band's next album, One by One. In addition to his drumming, Hawkins was also deeply involved member of Foo Fighters, sharing songwriting duties, taking on vocals, and becoming a huge part of the band's identity throughout his long tenure with it. He is, in other words, a huge part of how the band transformed from a Grohl solo project into a cohesive and hugely influential rock band, even beyond being a man talented enough for Grohl to cede custody of the drum part on Everlong to him. In an interview from earlier this year with Sammy Hagar, the pair, who spoke often on their friendship, were quizzed on the greatest drummer of all time. Hawkins shot back an instant Dave Grohl, while Grohl was just as quick with his Taylor Hawkins. Across the same long era, Hawkins also pursued a number of side and solo projects, most notably Taylor Hawkins and the Coattail Riders, with whom he released 3 albums, and the Birds of Satan, an outgrowth of his cover band Chevy Metal, which is to say that he played and sang relentlessly throughout his career. The kind of guy for whom being in one of the biggest rock bands of all time simply couldn't be enough music. Hawkins reportedly died on Friday night in Bogota, Colombia, where the band was on the final leg of a South American tour. His musical spirit and infectious laughter will live on in all of us forever. The band wrote in its statement, "Our hearts go out to his wife, children, and family, and we also ask that their privacy be treated with the utmost respect in this unimaginably difficult time." Okay. Still no real details here. No real details. No, we don't need that. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through some of these headlines just to see if there's anything. Okay, let's see what this is. This is a local Colombia translated news report. Bogota. Foo Fighters drummer Taylor Hawkins has died at the age of 50. The American rock band announced Friday night the Seattle band was scheduled to. I don't know that the Foo Fighters are a Seattle band. Are they? I don't. Are they? I don't know. I don't know that. I mean, certainly Dave came out of the Seattles. I don't know that they're a Seattle band. I mean, it's not like the Foo Fighters ever had to play a local club scene before they got their record deal. I mean, they pretty much had a record deal from the get-go because Dave Grohl was in Nirvana. But whatever. The Foo Fighters family is devastated. We already went through that. Our hearts go out to his wife. No cause of death or further details were given, but local media reported that Hawkins was found in his hotel room. A Stereo Picnic Festival organizers reported the cancellation of the band's Friday night slot after Hawkins' death became known. It is with a broken heart that we are here to tell you some very sad news, the organizers said in announcing the news, at which many people in the audience burst into tears. Wearing the band's t-shirt, festival goer Carlos found out about Hawkins' death via the announcement and couldn't believe it. For him, Hawkins was the band's drummer for life. He was an artistic reference and an inspiration, he said. That's just a person at the concert. Born Oliver Taylor Hawkins in Fort Worth, Texas, he grew up in Laguna Beach, California. Played in various bands. We covered all this. Side projects. Tour dates around the world, including across Europe, North America, Australia, and New Zealand, are scheduled through the end of the year. Hawkins is survived by his wife, Allison, and 2 children, Oliver and Annabelle. Little Oliver Jr. Yeah, I'm just not seeing any details. We probably won't get that for, oh, look at it. TMZ late to the party. TMZ's got something popping up first. Taylor Hawkins, drummer for the Foo Fighters and Alanis Morissette, is dead. The Foo Fighters announced his death with the post that reads, we already went through that. The band is in Bogota, Colombia, where they were scheduled to play Friday, and that is reportedly where Taylor died. So far, there are no further details. Taylor had substance abuse issues in the past, and actually survived a 2001 heroin overdose. Along with Dave Grohl, Taylor was the most recognizable face of the Foo Fighters, which he joined in 1997. Just last year, he and the group were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There you go. They're already in there. Okay, so I was saying, okay, that makes sense. The Foo Fighters probably deserve to be in there by now anyway. They've been around since the mid-'90s. Prior to joining Foo Fighters, he'd been touring with Alanis Morissette. As the band noted, Taylor was such a cool, outgoing guy with fans and even the media. The last time we got him out was last September in New York City, where he was having some fun with autograph seekers and his bandmates. While he remained with Foo Fighters, Taylor also started his own side project, a band called Taylor Hawkins and the Coattail Riders. Taylor and his wife Allison have 3 children, son Oliver and daughters Annabelle and Everly. Okay, this is different than the other one. I think it just said 2. The band's statement adds, our hearts go out to his wife, children, and family. Taylor and his Foo Fighter bandmates were supposed to headline Lollapalooza, Brazil on Sunday night. Obviously, that gig is now up in the air. They're not going to play that gig. That's kind of, come on, you don't. That's not a thing. All right. Well, I don't know how or where we're going to be able to come up with any real answers tonight. Oh, boy. Okay. Give me a moment here, folks. I know this is how we're going to do these breaking news. This is, when I say we're going to jump in from time to time whenever some kind of big news story breaks, and we'll just try and cover it as it unfolds. This is not a great example of how I want to do these live news break-ins. Again, we do 2 shows every day, Monday through Friday. We do noon. We do the high noon show, which is just topics and headlines and current events, and it's hot takes and quick, boom, boom, boom. We go through everything that you need to know in your day. And then we come back Monday through Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Central Time, and it's a more conversational show that I do with my partner, James Parker. I have been saying that we will jump in at times like this when there are big news stories that are happening. And this is... there was no way to sit and watch this unfold because there is such finality to this story. This isn't like something that is happening in real time and we're watching it unfold and new pieces of information are going to be flowing in. this is different. This is just somebody who was beloved, a hero to many, who died. And we're not going to get answers on how he died. That's not going to be tonight. It's just not suddenly going to come out that, oh, it was this. All we have to go on is that he was found unresponsive in his hotel room in Bogota, Colombia. The Foo Fighters were scheduled to play a show tonight. One report that I had read from earlier tonight said that the Foo Fighters they had a scheduled meeting. They were going to do something. They had no details on what it was. I speculated that it may have been a media event. It may have been a fan meet and greet. It may have been one of the many things that bands do before their concerts. And that Taylor had not shown up, and that had caused people within the Foo Fighters organization to go to Taylor's hotel room. He did not answer. Security was then called, and they went into Taylor Hawkins' hotel room there in Bogota, Colombia, where he was, as the report states, found unresponsive. So, and again, that's what we know right now at 1:03 a.m. Central Standard Time. There may be more. We may find out way more, but it'll take a while. All right. Let's see here. Let me just try one last thing. Villantes' birthday was a few days ago, February the 17th. 36 days later, found dead. The number 3 is possible blood sacrificed. I feel like I need to at least try and finish this bottle here. Okay. Oh, okay. This is interesting. I was just talking about.
Just want to.
Okay, this is interesting. All right, this is Taylor Hawkins on depression. I had speculated, as somebody who also suffers from depression, I speculated that I'm not aware, and maybe this isn't going to make that any clearer. I'm not aware that Taylor Hawkins suffered from depression, but I was thinking, how does an otherwise seemingly healthy guy who has gotten past the drug issues of 20 some years ago in his life, how does he just die at 50 years old? And okay, so let's take a look at this. Let's see what this is. This is Taylor Hawkins and Dave Grohl on depression and the passing of Chris Cornell. Let's see what this is. Are we sharing? Yeah, we are. Okay, let's just watch this for a moment, shall we?
On a slightly more serious note, if I could, obviously there's been a great deal of loss in the last sort of 18 months, 2 years with, some fantastic musicians. Bowie, who we talked about before, and then obviously a guy who you guys know well, we knew well with Chris Cornell this year, and Chester as well. Just want to get sort of your thoughts on it, because we've been doing a bit on our show. We obviously relate to a lot of men, and we have a big problem in the country with, a high suicide rate and stuff like that. And obviously it seems to affect even people that appear like they've got it all. It must really rock you guys as well when hearing news like that, and people that you think have got it all together.
When it comes to someone like Chris Cornell or Chester, depression is a disease, and everybody kind of goes through it their own way. I can't speak for anybody else's condition, but the hardest part is when you lose a friend, and I just always immediately think of their families and their bandmates, and because going through something like suicide, it's it's a long road, and Chris was such a beautiful guy, man. He was the sweetest person. He was so talented. He had so much to offer that it was a real shock to hear that he had gone. But you know, I think that mental health and depression is something that people should really take seriously, and there's a stigma attached to it that's unfortunate, because just as you take care of yourselves in every other way, I think it's important that people really try to take care of themselves in that way too. And it ain't easy, you know, life's hard, but
you know, like you said, people, you know, you got it so together. I mean, that just goes to show you, you know, it doesn't matter what's in your, you know, what's in your bank account or how many hits are on your YouTube page or all that kind of crap. It all goes out the window if you're, like Dave said, if you're not feeling right, you know. And so Chris would, like, not to get to hear Chris Cornell make another record again is my selfish version of it. And there's such a bigger, you know, such a bigger hurt beyond my own selfish, you know. I barely knew him a little bit, but what I did know him, he was super cool. I didn't know Chester very well at all, but I knew Chris a little bit, and Dave knew him a little bit too. And we just loved his records, man. Like, some of the first stuff me and Dave ever jammed on when we would just goof around in the jam room and in the rehearsal room in between. But I can remember as far back as when I first joined the band and me and you just playing, like, you know, Soundgarden riffs together.
Yeah.
And I remember making Nothing Left to Lose with the guy who engineered and produced some of their records. And we would just, like, listen to their records a lot. They're big inspiration for us as musicians. And Chris Cornell was just a master. So, you know, the loss, it's a bummer, but like Dave said, you know, that's a real thing.
Look after yourselves and your mates.
Look after yourself, and if it looks like someone's down, way down, check on them.
Some great words. And that's it. Thank you for co-hosting the Morning Rumble on the Rock today. Taylor Hawkins, Dave Grohl, all the best for the album, which is out September 15, Concrete and Gold.
Yeah. All right, there we go. That's a little something there. Didn't really help us out, you know. It was, I would think, here's what I think that does. I think that clears up to me that Taylor Hawkins, I'd speculated that, you know, did he have, and again, I say this as somebody who has battled depression for decades, and, you know, was Taylor Hawkins a depression guy? It seems like that would have been an opportunity in that conversation for him to reveal something about himself, but he didn't. So, you know, I mean, I would be absolutely, I would be even more heartbroken to learn that this was anything other than just something that nobody had any control over. I'm talking about the cause of death. I'm going to be angry if it was drugs, you know, because it's like, come on, man. What? I would be heartbroken to learn that he succumbed to depression or something like that. I mean, what are we rooting for, right? I mean, is it dark? Is that too dark to openly just consider? Like, what do we want it to be? What do we want the thing to be? What is the best case scenario to make this better? It's not going to be better. It's just going to be totally uncool regardless of what we learn about how I keep saying, Dave, how Taylor Hawkins passed. Suicide, heartbroken. Drug overdose, disappointed. Disappointed. Still heartbroken. Doesn't change anything about the lovely person that he seemed to be. But it would be disappointing. I mean, you want it to be just one of them. You do. I think you do. I think the best. And again, at the same time, most frightening thing is that you just want it to be that it was his time. That something uncontrollable, something unforeseen. I had a friend who worked in radio, who was young. This person was in his early 30s. He was a morning man, and he worked with me at the same station I was at, or not. He worked with me in the same station group. He was on a different station, but we all did our shows from the same floor of the building. He was just on a different radio station with studios on the same floor, right down the hall from where our studio was. And he left his morning show one day, just a random Tuesday. I'll never forget. Random Tuesday. There was a snowstorm coming. I remember that. And he left the show because he had a headache. He just had a terrible headache. He said, I'm getting this. What, do you have migraines? No, I don't suffer from migraines, but I can't even see straight. I don't know what this is, but I got to go home and lay down. Well, it was a brain aneurysm. And he went home, he laid down, it popped or did whatever it did, and he died. You know, those are the uncontrollable things. This little mechanism that we all, this shell that our souls and our beings and our light and our energy occupy, that encases us. It's very complicated machinery, incredibly complicated machinery. We like to think that, medical science has it all figured out. Nah, come on, man. There are any million number of things that could go screwy at any minute, and a perfectly otherwise healthy individual could just drop dead of something terrible. Something in their brain could just go pop. Something in their heart can just go pop. Something can just happen. And I think in the case of Taylor Hawkins, I'm finding myself now sitting here at 1:14 a.m. after doing this for 2 complete hours now, just talking about the passing of one of the coolest guys in rock and roll. I'm rooting for that. As terrible as that sounds, that's what I'm rooting for. I'm rooting for brain aneurysm. I'm rooting for heart embolism. I'm rooting for blood clot. I'm rooting for, something that isn't, what are the other choices? Suicide, drug overdose. I don't want those things for him. I don't. We are all vulnerable to this insanely complicated carcass that we exist inside of. I don't know. It's very sad. Leslie Collins, I think he had a heart attack. Yeah, very possible. He was a fit guy. He was an incredibly physical drummer, which would bespeak some spectacular level of cardio. I mean, if you've ever seen the way he played the drums, I'm out there doing my runs every day. He did it with 3 songs. He probably exerted himself to the level of the way I do when I run. And I'm a big fat piece of garbage, but we're close in age. And heart attack. Yeah, right. I mean, that's what you want. You want it to be a heart attack because he had a condition that was undiagnosed. He had a ruptured or clogged ventricle, this, whatever. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but it's like you want that. You want that for him. You want it to be something that was just out of the control of anybody. You don't want it to be that, he decided he was bored. He was in Bogota. He met the wrong guy at the hotel bar because he was friendly to everybody, and they went up and they did some bad drugs and fentanyl got him. So that would be disappointing. Wouldn't stop the fact that I adored the guy, but it's disappointing to learn that he was suffering from a mental illness, a mental disability. And that's how I describe my depression. It's a disability. It is I'm not looking for any special help. I don't need to park up close to the Walmart or anything like that, but it is a disability. It is a hurdle that people like myself who suffer from depression have to navigate and have to learn how to work with, because that big spooky monster, like I said earlier, my son calls it the thing. You're in a mood. Is it the thing? No. It's not the curse. I call it the curse. But when you get to be my age and you've gone through some of the stuff that I've gone through, you learn how to navigate that, and I feel extremely comfortable with how I've learned to navigate that. I would hope that that's not him. I would hope that he wasn't also a sufferer, a silent sufferer. Maybe, now that I think about it, I mean, the way he was so jovial and so outgoing and so this and that, and that is very common, the personality of somebody who suffers from depression. I know that a lot of people who know me, a lot of people who were listeners to my show, who have been listeners to the shows that I've been doing since the 1990s. They know me as kind of this wild man, this crazy guy, willing to do anything. Let's do it. Let's have fun. Let's that whole thing, and that's manufactured. That's completely manufactured. I mean, I go home and sit in for years, I go home and just sit in a dark bedroom and watch TV in silence and just, not be that plugged in, supercharged person. So that's interesting for me to just sit here and consider that. I guess knowing how much positivity and how much positive energy he seemed to emit and generate in every single aspect of his public life, it wouldn't surprise me if I learned that was an overcompensation for. I mean, I understand that. I can see that, because I myself have created a completely different personality and a completely different sort of persona for people. That, hey, just ask any of my 2 ex-wives, right? I mean, I try to be fun and loving and upbeat and positive and all that kind of stuff. And yet I've got 2 women who could tell you stories about what happens when I turn that, when I get on the dimmer and I dim that shit down. So I guess that's another possibility. I guess taking his own life is a possibility. A terrible one, a tragic one, sad one. The drugs would be disappointing. It's all sad. What are we doing here? What am I doing here? Let's see. Anja says, don't think so. No fentanyl in the area. They stayed at the Four Seasons, big security detail. Yeah, Bogota's got that good coke. That's you're gonna go to Bogota, you're probably gonna get the really good pure stuff. I'd be lying if I didn't tell you that when I first heard it was Bogota, the first thing I thought was, yeah, there you go. He got some of that good stuff. He got some of that stuff that ain't been stepped on, some of that pure white. But I don't know. None of us know. And all we can do at this point is speculate. And why are we speculating? We're speculating because when something is taken from us, we demand to know a reason why. Why has this been taken from us? Why was it here in my life providing me with X amount of joy and happiness, and now suddenly it's gone? I need an explanation. So that's why I sit here in the middle of the night on a Friday evening, drinking from my bottle of Jameson and trying to make sense out of the passing of somebody who seemed to have everything in the world that any one of us could want. Well, we're not going to get any answers to that. All right, folks. I don't know. I think that's about it. I think I don't know how much else we can do. Let me refresh this one more time. Let's see if there is anything new, anything interesting that we can share about him. What is this now? You know what? Isn't this nice? Why not? Let's just do this. We'll just do we'll play this. I don't care. Why not just watch things? Why not just see cool things and enjoy who the guy was? No, that's not the one. That is not the one. Here, tell you what I'll do. I'll do it this way. Give me a second here. We'll listen to Taylor Hawkins' full performance of Under Pressure with the Foo Fighters live on stage. Get a little good vibe going for who he was, why people loved him, see his energy. There it is. Okay. We'll watch this. I'm going to sip on my drink. Nope, that's not it. That is it. Alrighty, friends. Here we go. Nope, we don't need that one. Sorry, I'm a little... You
guys know this one? Of course you fucking do. Biggest band in the world. Pressing down on me, pressing down on you. Nobody's fault. Under pressure that brings a building down with a family of two. Puts people in trees. Right on it, right on it. Diego, let's go there. Let me out tomorrow. Come on. Turn away from it all like a blind man with a sound offense, but that didn't work. You climbing up and maybe this was magical. Such an old-fashioned word, and love is you to care for the people of the night, and love is you to change our way of caring about ourselves. This is our last dance. This is not our last dance. This is us now.
Okay, well, that was rather abrupt. But there you go. I mean, as I've been saying all night, and this is absolutely no disrespect to Chris, Rami, Nate, Pat Schmear, and any of the other members of the band. Who is that? Who is that? What is the current lineup? Well, let me see what the current lineup is. No disrespect to any of those people, but the Foo Fighters with Dave Grohl and Taylor Hawkins. Again, no disrespect to any of the other guys. So, let's see what the current lineup is here. What does Wikipedia say? Here we go. Okay, members of the Foo Fighters. Dave Grohl, Nate Mendel, Pat Smear, Chris Shiflett, Rami Jaffe. Oh, boy. Oh, that's cold. That's cold. They have a category for members of the Foo Fighters, and then they have a category for past members, and Taylor Hawkins is in the past members category already on Wikipedia. Wow, that hits. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, that is a thing. I'll leave you with this because we're going to get out of here. There's absolutely no reason to keep going on with this kind of thing. We just watched a video, and in the video that we watched, we saw some of the biggest rock stars in the world. We all know the reputation of the rock star, the pompous, entitled. That's not what they were. And I say they, the Foo Fighters, in the past tense, because as we've discussed earlier tonight, I don't know. I don't know how the Foo Fighters continues. I don't know. I really don't. The more time I spend sitting on that thought, I don't know how they continue without Taylor Hawkins. It will be a completely different thing. And in that world of entitled rock stars who we all come to pretty much just expect aren't the nicest people in the world, we just saw one of the biggest bands in the world, one of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame rock band. We just saw them experiencing pure joy. There was no preening in that. That was tongue in cheek. It was Taylor coming out from behind the drums to sing a song, a great song, a jam, a rocker that the Foo Fighters could certainly put their own awesome spin on. But there was no over-the-top pomp. There was no theatrical self-importance in the performance that we just watched. We watched a man truly enjoying the fact that he was giving people happiness. Roll your eyes if you want. But think back to some of the greatest rock concerts you've ever been to. All that was somebody giving you happiness, somebody providing you with joy. I can't remember some of the greatest moments of my life. I have been blessed to have some truly amazing moments. I have gone incredible places. I have been a fly on the wall in rooms where incredibly important people have been doing things. And, I'll tell you, as I get into my older age, I don't remember any of that shit. I can't remember that. But you know what I do remember? I do remember my first concert. I remember sitting there in the Rosemont Horizon in 1983 or whatever it was when the curtain opened up and Duran Duran played Please, Please Tell Me Now. I remember the drums. I remember that moment. That was an example of what those guys did, what they did every night, what they did joyously, what they did generously. Sure, they made a lot of money and they were exalted as rock stars and were given princely type existence because of it. But we saw people truly enjoying doing that. That's what struck me watching that. Taylor Hawkins' smile while singing that song. The laugh, the kid that was born in Fort Worth, Texas, can't believe that he's up on stage doing this song that he probably as a teenager would drive around in his car and sing in traffic to. That was a wonderful little moment there. And that was something that he shared with everybody in that performance. That was something that he gave to everybody. That was something that he didn't do from a point of self-importance. He didn't do it like, all right, now I'm going to do a song that's really badass and I'm going to show you what a rock star does. No, he did it. He did it wonderfully. It was a cool song. It was a banger, but he did it with a smile, with his tongue in his cheek, knowing that he was just entertaining, that he was just making people happy. And that's, I think that from all of the testimonials that we've read about people talking about the passing of Taylor Hawkins tonight at the age of 50 years old in a hotel room in Bogota, Colombia, I think that that's pretty much the common thread, that He was a force for good. He was a source for fun. He was a source for fun. He didn't have any enemies, and there you go. That's that with that. So we're gonna let you go here tonight. Thank you all for hanging out with me for the last 2 hours. It's been a sad night, but it's also a nice night. I'm Irish, so we don't like to mourn the passing. We prefer to celebrate the life that was. That's why if you've ever been to an Irish funeral or an Irish wake, you'll see that there's a whole lot of people laughing. There's a whole lot of music. They play it loud. There's a lot of booze. There's a lot of good food. There's dancing. There's enjoyment, and there's joyousness. So let's do that. Let's do that. We'll find out exactly what the details are about the passing of Taylor Hawkins, but a time to be sad, but now there's a time to just smile and laugh and be thankful that he was such a cool guy. All right, folks, I'm going to take one last one. Here's to you, to everybody that decided to join us tonight. Bleh. All right, I didn't finish the bottle. I thought I would finish the bottle tonight. That's it. All right, thank you. I'm going to sign off. Once again, you can check out the live streams that we do each and every day, Monday through Friday, noon Central Standard Time. The noon show is called High Noon. You can subscribe to the channel. You'll get an alert. It's talk radio. It's talk radio the way talk radio should be done, without any divisive politics, without any just people talking about things that are happening in the world. The noon show is topics. It's headlines, it's trends, it's me offering hot takes on whatever it is that's happening in the world. We run through them one after another. We don't spend too much time on any one thing. Hopefully over the course of 2 hours or 2 hours plus, whatever it is we do on every day, Monday through Friday, there'll be something in there that you'll be interested in. If not, you'll get a nice, well-rounded view of what the world is all about for whatever particular day it is. We then do a second one, 9:00 p.m., also Central Standard Time. What did you think? I was going to switch it up? I was going to do Central Standard Time for the first stream, and then I was going to do Eastern for no. Central Standard Time, 9:00. We call that Pillow Talk. That's a little different. I don't even know how to describe that. That's me and James Parker. You just tune in for that, and you'll hear a couple of guys just talking nonsense about whatever is happening. All right, folks, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Oh, and as always, if you want to help support the efforts that we do here with any of these shows, you can tip the show. I feel like, or don't. Look, I just put it out there. I think it's up on the screen. Yeah, it's been up on the screen there. You can support the show in any way you want. Seems a bit seedy, considering that we're just all here to get together to talk about Taylor Hawkins. So whatever, but it is what it is. It is how we are able to do these shows. Okay, as I like to say on the High Noon Show, love you all. Be cool to one another. The world took a hit tonight. A really cool guy, somebody who was a provider of positive energy and supreme coolness in whatever small increment he was able to pump out, is no longer with us. So that means that you, me, and everybody that we know are going to have to pick up the slack just a little bit. We're just going to have to be a little bit cooler in honor of him, a little bit nicer, a little bit more fun, a little bit less serious, a little bit less pretentious. Because, like I say, somebody's got to pick up the slack now. All right, folks, we'll see you. You have yourself a great weekend. Oh, and again, if you subscribe to the channel, should any other news stories pop up or big things break, I'll be jumping in and covering them as well. All right. I love y'all. Bye, everybody. Have yourself a great weekend. Be well. Bye.